consequences to fighting and taking away people's health care. There are consequences to voting against a living wage. There are consequences to ripping up law-abiding, dutiful, undocumented people from their country. There are consequences. There are consequences for fighting against LGBT rights. There are consequences for taking away our right to choose. There are consequences to fighting and taking away people's health care. There are consequences to voting against a living wage. There are consequences to ripping up law-abiding, dutiful, undocumented people from their country. There are consequences. There are consequences for fighting against LGBT rights. There are consequences for taking away our right to choose. There are
You can't make this up.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Developing Dad Podcast, where we bring the Bible to bear on culture, education, and the family. Happy Sunday to you all. So there are consequences. That is what we have been led to believe by AOC here. She says that there are consequences. There will be consequences. Now, what those consequences are, she never says. In this clip, man, I'm fine with that because I don't know how much more of her I could have taken. But make no mistake about it, there are consequences. Now, I believe that she's saying that there are consequences when it comes to voting, that the Democrats will not stand down, that they're going to keep fighting to make their agendas the law of the land. Now, if she's inciting violence, though, then we got some problems, right? Now, we know that there are, if y'all are familiar with the South Park episode,
They
right?
took our jobs.
There was a groundswell in 2016 that got Trump elected and then him reelected, and it centered around illegal immigration. All right, if you could, when you come in, like the video, let me know where you are coming from, or where you hail from, your location, current location. We're going to talk about this. This is another smoke show, as it were. We're going to talk. I didn't get a chance to dive deep into illegal immigration and take questions about that yesterday. Now, all of the other topics are still on the table. We discussed this last time. We can talk about, illegal immigration and, whatever. Just let me know, right? Y'all have any questions? Now, the order of questions is still the priority order for the questions is still the same. But if you get in here early, you can get your questions answered early, right? So supers will be answered. Obviously, I'll always take a super chat question. And then members, people that are financially supporting the channel, and it is only $1 a month. $1 a month to become a member. Okay. So if you want to just support the channel, say thank you for, to the Developing Dad Podcast for continuing to post virtually every day. I've been posting every day, almost, right? I'm excited about that. And the channel is growing. We've seen almost 5,000 new subscribers this month, this calendar month. So we are excited about that. We're closing in on 12,000. That's all up to you. What's going on, David? How y'all doing? Let's see. Let's see who we got in here. Brandon Mace, thank you for tuning in. Nico, thank you for tuning in. Jurassic Ford, I think that's what that means. I don't know. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you. Yes. Okay. Whether you love the content or you hate it, stick around. Okay. But, she's riling up the base. Illegal immigration. You're going to pay for sending people who cross the border illegally back to their country. When I hear AOC talk,
you are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
That's what I think. And I can't help to think that. What's going on, Ed? Thank you. And AAABBB, thank you for tuning in. She's saying that these people who cross the border illegally there's going to be consequences for Donald Trump and the Make America Great Again base, whoever. This consequences for sending them back to where they belong. Now, here's the thing. If the third world, and this is, you'll see out of the same breath, Democrats saying that America is not a great place to be, that there's too much racism, violence, and just sexism, just all the isms that they'll talk about, that America has all of these problems. Yet and still, people are breaking their necks to get here. Why? If America is so bad, why are people fleeing their home countries to come here? I don't understand that. There are Democrats who say that. There are, insert name, there are Democrats who say, and they constantly, the refrain is constant that we need to be more like X country. We need to be more like this country. There's too much racism. There's too much violence. White men are the greatest threat. White terror. It's constant complaints over and over and over again. And they're saying that these other places don't have these problems, and we need to be more like them. There are plenty of Democrats, especially hard left socialists, that complain about everything, capitalism going on, now, the classic liberal, which is where you see the right is heading, classic liberal, they want to change things. So we talked about this yesterday. R.L. Dabney said conservatism is virtually useless. If you were to place take Bill Clinton's policies from 1992 and you just fast forwarded him into 2025, which political party would he be a part of ideologically? And that lets you know how far the left has gone. Now, Democrats used to be more moderate. You could have a lot of different ideologies underneath that tent, but more and more, it's just becoming the party of radical ideologies, radical leftist ideology. And so it was a great time when we had ideas that were coming from both parties that could be debated, that were somewhat moderate. But now it's just how far left can we go? How far radical can we? This is the left, right? And the conservatives now, if you think about it, just think about it for a second. You have conservatives who are LGBTQ advocates. Essentially, at this point, what are you trying to conserve? Because the radical left is just continuing to pull further and further left. Transgender surgeries for children, right? Radical gender affirming care, where 25, 30 years ago, that would have never been a thought, even on the left. Now the right is being dragged into that position because conservatives gave up on the definition of marriage. So now it's, everything, they're just being pulled. Like Brother Derek Franklin said it last week. He said, conservatism is just liberalism going the speed limit. And so R.L. Dabney said it. The fight will be moved so far to the left that eventually conservatives will be fighting to keep the thing that they were vehemently opposed to just 20, 30 years ago. Now they're trying. Now you have, well, let them stay married. Let them do that. Let them do this. But we don't want to go as far as radical gender affirming care for children. That's too far. Well, you gave up that hill a long time ago when you allowed the argument to be framed in such a way that you gave up the definitions, and now you have nothing to conserve. What are you conserving at this point? What's going on, everybody? Let me see who's in here. Let me say hello to everybody that's come in since I started answering that last question. Insert name. Thank you for the question 47. Insert name. Mike Mancuso. Thank you. Ed. John Burke. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Who else is here? We got Ed. We got Daniel Peckham. Thank you. Lifelight. Mike Kins. Let's see. Yeah. There you go. All right. Thank you to everybody that's tuning in. Matthias Mies. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah. Yes. All right. Now, we've got so much. Let's see. Hold on one second. All right. So we've got so much to discuss because the left has gone so far. So this last administration with Biden, they opened the border. The border is now, well, it's closed now, but the border was left open, and our country was essentially being invaded. Let me see. Am I live on Instagram? Okay, I'm going to go live on Instagram. I was supposed to go live on Instagram 15 minutes ago. Well, 12 minutes ago. But it didn't. I forgot. There it is. Time since. I was wondering why I didn't see the Instagram alert. All right, there you go. Yes. What's going on, Brother Derek Franklin? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, gender affirming care is not life-saving care at all. Yeah. You got to pay attention because this is why it's so important to frame the argument properly, right? This is why it's so important to frame the argument properly. When you allow the left to have the definitions, this is what you get. Life-saving care. Right? That's how they frame everything. They frame everything in altruistic terms. They make sure that everything sounds good, right? Even Maria Salazar, the Dignity Act, right? No child left behind. That's Bush. The politicians, if you want to define, you want to know exactly what a policy is going to do when it's created by politicians that have your best interest at heart, your best, just go with the opposite. The war on poverty, poverty's winning. The war on drugs, drugs is winning, right? The no child left behind, we're getting dumber, okay? Life affirming care, life destruction, all right? It's going to destroy their lives, right? You just give it time. They always frame it under the most moral and virtuous terms, but make no mistake about it. If the government's coming to you and trying to sell you an idea, you can almost bet 100% of the time that it's going to have the opposite effect. And then they will never admit that it was the policy. They will blame it on extenuating circumstances. Well, it's because of this that our policy didn't work the way we had the best of intentions. You can't deny our intentions. Right? It's always, they have the best of intentions, but the outcomes never match. Okay? Yeah? So, puberty blockers go against the normal pattern of development for the brain and the body. When you start modifying the basic human development cycle for whatever purpose and ends, you do not understand the ramifications of that for long term. Okay, this is asinine to think that giving someone, whether it be puberty blockers, radical testosterone treatment, whatever it is. So maybe it was fine for, would you have been okay with, or would you have been okay with this forced sterilization of undesirable populations? Like in the early 20th century? You know, people that look like me. Because we were weeds. That's what Margaret Sanger said. We were weeds that needed to be exterminated. Planned Parenthood was only one of the possible solutions. But sterilization was also one. Because again, why not eliminate people that look like me? I might not have been able to support myself or my family. Who knows if I grew up poor enough? Who knows? Right? So why not sterilize his mother before, you know, she grew up in a poor neighborhood. Her children are probably not going to be a success. They might not be able to read. They might have a hard life. So why not sterilize his mother so that she doesn't procreate? Same mindset. Oh, they might want to change into a girl, or they might want to affirm themselves as a girl. You know why I don't? Let's see. Right? See what Proverbs 22 says? Foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child. Right? Oh, it's not. Look, here it is. That person in here that says the fake quote. Look at that part right there. And this is definitely not this is a fact check site right here. I always have it ready for you guys that come in here with that. But why do we want to affirm everything that a child might want to do? Right. Yeah. I mean, Rico, this is, you know what I'm saying? Like, they just come in here and they start saying stuff. And I'm like, you might want to tamp that down a little bit. I mean, if you're going to be dumb in the corner. Don't be dumb on the internet where everybody can see it. That's the question. Like, if you don't know, so I'm always going to say, hey, if I don't know this, I'm not going to present myself as an expert on something that I don't know about. So before I started quoting that thing, bringing it to the internet, I went to check to see if it was real. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. You know, maybe it's just me. But if you could like the video on the way, and I appreciate you all. I'm checking this. You know what? There are a lot of times when I add certain things that make the. Let's see something. To add certain words to. Hold on one second. So certain words to the description that make it. Let's see. Yeah, make it less likely for YouTube to pick up on the pick it up in the algorithm. I'm trying to figure that out right now, because right now normally we have more people in here by now, but it could be just Sunday evening. You know, we'll just see. We'll keep rolling with it. Go for a little while, see what happens. Trying to get to 12,000. If y'all could help, that would be awesome. Okay. So we were talking about, let me see who else is in here. Say hello to the people that have come in since we did our last check-in. That said hello. All right, hold on one second. Okay, here we go. There's been a lot of people that come in. Okay, there we go. I think I got it. Okay, Derek Franklin. Brother Derek Franklin came in. All right, Brave Little Flying Toaster, welcome. Daniel Peckham, I think we saw you. D. Okay, Life Light, welcome. Okay, Samuel Lang, thank you for tuning in. Tyro, thank you for tuning in. Janice, thank you. Father Af, thank you for tuning in. Scott Jackson, what's going on? Thank you for tuning in. Peter Cooper, thank you for tuning in. All right, we got, who else we got in here? Back Jackwards. Okay, thank you for tuning in. Oh, let's see. Anybody else? New Doopster TV, Sarge, CFC, thank you for tuning in. All right, I think that's everybody. Wizard Den, thank you for tuning in. The Open Forum, Melapella, Katie Dean Thomas, thank you for tuning in. All right, so we're talking about anything. Now remember, we've got a list of topics that are on the table. Here you go. That's the list of topics that's on the table. We can talk about any of these. I am about to pull up another tweet from my bookmarks, but I wanted to discuss this one. This could be a lot of things that that Dan Bongino's talking about, but I think we all know which one he's describing. So, during my tenure, this is Dan Bongino. During my tenure here as Deputy Director of the FBI, I have reportedly relayed to you that things are happening that might not be immediately visible, but they are happening. The Director and I are committed to stamping out public corruption and the political weaponization of both law enforcement and intelligence operations. It is a priority for us, but what I've learned in the course of our properly predicated and necessary investigations into these aforementioned matters has shocked me down to my core. We cannot run a republic like this. I'll never be the same after learning what I've learned. We are going to conduct these righteous and proper investigations by the book and in accordance with the law. We are going to get the answers we all deserve. As with any investigation, I cannot predict where it will land, but I can promise you an honest and dignified effort at truth. Not my truth or your truth, but the truth. God bless America and all those who defend her. Respectfully, Dan. Now, what do y'all think he's talking about? Whoo-wee. Yes. Woof. Wow. What do y'all think he's talking about? Yeah. We've got some problems in America. Oh, boy. Yes. And yes. So if y'all want to know what these topics are, right, we can talk about the Trump Epstein cover-up, Trump winning, right? Immigration news, we talked about that. Zionism, that's one of the things that people have been trying to convince me of, that as a Christian, I should be a Zionist. Liberal lunacy is essentially highlighting the hypocrisy of the left and their failed policies, their failed ideologies, how they don't have unanswerable arguments, that their arguments are easily answerable because they don't present them in a logical fashion. They don't, their terms aren't clear. Their premises are false most times, or their logic is invalid. And it only takes one of the three in order to debunk their arguments. And so that's what we talk about. And they're very inconsistent, and they're ideologues, right? So they, even if something doesn't work, like their cities are trash, their policies are failing. They failed all over the world, but they are going to double and triple down, because to them it's a moral position. They believe that they're morally superior because they frame their policies in such a way that make them believe they're morally superior, right? They legislate with their hearts, and that is not how you properly legislate. The law needs to incentivize the good and de-incentivize the bad. It's not about what makes you feel good. Okay? If it really is a dangerous place to be ruled by people whose hearts are swayed, because all it takes. Perfect example, guys. I just remembered. I took a screenshot of this, and I'm gonna try to pull it up. Let's see, where did she say that? Okay, let's see. I'm gonna try to pull this up. Be patient with me, right? Okay. Yeah. So let me ask you this: you say you would genuinely love to see it. Have we ever seen it? And what policies would you like to see? Specifically, what policies are you talking about? Left-leaning politicians, sorry. So have you seen any, and who would be an example of that, so that we can know? We need an example. I'd like an example, because I don't want to assume. Where is it? I'll let you post that in the comments there. Where is this? I'm looking for it. Hold on one second. No, that's not the one. That's not the one either. Okay, well, let's just do this. Hold on one second. So who are these? All right. Some left-leaning politicians. All right. All right. And again, this is the right. Daniel's saying it right here. Daniel's saying it. This is his right. Republicans don't have a heart, right? This is why they really do follow their heart. And so as Christians, we understand that this is why we shouldn't just follow our hearts. Right? Because the heart will get you into trouble. You'll flood the country with illegal immigrants at the expense of widows and orphans and the people who are like the Lake and Rileys of the world. But who cares about them, right? You guys don't care about them. Because your heart is telling you that flooding the country with millions of illegal immigrants is the feely thing to do, the feel good thing to do. It doesn't matter if those people are a danger to those who are already here, because you're not thinking, you're emoting, right? And so none of the negative outcomes are even, you're not even considering them, because in your mind, you are correct. You're virtuous because you want. Let's see. I'm looking for this. Almost. You're virtuous because you're allowing the less fortunate to come into your country, right? Yeah. You don't think about the possible negative outcomes, because in your mind you're just morally superior, right? Your positions are morally superior. All right. Let me see where this is. Hold on one second. All right. Got a lot of stuff going on here. Let me see if I can find this portion. Yes. Okay. Here it is. All right. I want to bring this portion up. This is a part of the reason why you should always be. Let me see if I can. I'm going to speed it up just a little bit. But this is Tucker Carlson discussing lots of issues with Ana Kasparian. But this one in particular is why Ana Kasparian admitted she was wrong about defunding the police. But we're gonna talk about this. Why? Let's listen. Hold on one second. I muted YouTube because it should be muted. I want to unmute it because I don't want it playing in the. Here we go.
Thing, in the future, but clearly you've started thinking things or thinking through things that you hadn't before, and God bless you. That's like the greatest privilege of adulthood. You get to think for yourself. It's happened to me a lot. But how did that start?
Well, I mean, it started with like personal experiences, and it often does, right? Like often your policy preferences will slap you in the face, and then you're like, oh, I don't like that,
Right, no, I get it.
Because sometimes there are unintended consequences. I'll give you a specific example. So I was very much supportive of the defund the police movement in 2020. And it was because, you see this video of a man like dying on camera with a police officer refusing to ease up on him. And it really made me angry. I felt that it was, whatever you think about George Floyd, I don't care, right? What was happening in that moment in that video was so disgusting to me and so unjust. And so I was like, no, I totally bought the narrative that it's not actually about abolishing police. It's about, taking some of that funding and investing in social services or in social workers. So social workers respond to certain calls. And
so let me change this right here. All right. And let's talk about what she just said. She wanted to become, and she was far left. Everybody in here that's on the left right now that's discussing her negatively was on the train with her, most likely, during the defund the police movement in 2020. And she admits her motive was something makes me angry. We need to legislate. The consequences are not something that I'm thinking about. Defund the police. Visceral reaction to a video. My heart tells me this is wrong. Don't worry about context. Don't worry about anything. No, don't worry about facts. None of that matters. I saw a video, my feels. I saw children crying at the border, my feels. I saw what? What else do you see? My feels legislated so that it never happens again. Defund the police. If you defund the police, we'll never have another George Floyd. But then you go and talk to black people in New York or wherever high crime rates are, and the average black person is saying, no, we need more police. We need more police. Right? We need more policing. I want to feel safer. Can we get more police? And you're right. Wofo, exactly. It's a stupid movement based on the heart. Because you got someone angry. They play upon your anger. They play upon your fear. They've been doing this to black people for years. This is
going to put y'all back in chains.
The common refrain. Every 2 to 4 years, Republicans are going to put y'all back in chains. They play on black people's fear. Anger. Because they know that if you're led by your emotions, by your heart, you're easily swayed. If you don't take the time to logically think through things, and this is one of the reasons why they don't teach logic in schools. This is one of the reasons why they don't teach rhetoric in schools. Because if you recognized that people were using rhetorical devices on you and causing you not to be able to think clearly, if you recognize rhetorical devices, if you recognize propaganda, you would be less likely to fall for it. If you could think through, right? If you could think through things, think through arguments, and understand that if the terms aren't clear, the premises aren't true, and the logic isn't valid, that it's a specious argument and you shouldn't be swayed by it. right? If all people have is ad hominem, moving the goalposts, bifurcations, continual logical fallacies that they promote as sound argumentation, if you can recognize them, it's one of the reasons why I spent 2.5 years teaching my sons how to recognize logical fallacies. You know how when someone, my 14-year-old son, let me show you this. Let me show you this this post. So they see, look at this. They see this, right? And they're like, Dad, those people really haven't read the book, The Uncle Tom's Cabin, because they wouldn't think that calling you that as an insult would be a good idea. I said, yeah, they don't. But you gotta let people just be.
You're so
right?
dumb.
Just
You are
gotta let them
really
be.
dumb. For real.
They think it's an insult. I'm like, oh, okay, fine, if you think so. Right? My 14-year-old and 13 and 14-year-old sons understand this. So they won't be swayed by the nonsense that is coming at them from people like this. Just like I'm not. So they see the podcast. They're like, oh, Dad, you see these people are called. Yeah, they're like, okay, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't know why. Maybe they haven't read the book. And I say, well, son, most people haven't. We want you all to read the books. We want you all to understand your history. We want you to understand the history of the world so that you're not swayed by this, right? So that you can go out into the culture and not be affected by the nonsense that you hear from uneducated, illiterate, unread people. Like don't let that affect you. Now, you're going to have to deal with them in society, but you've got to continue to press forward. You can't let them be a deterrent to you seeking out the truth, because they haven't read anything. Yeah. So, yeah. So, unfortunately, they don't get it. Now, people actually thought that this was a clear victory, but it was all based on emotion. And Anna is admitting this. Yeah, she's coming closer to sanity by adopting a search for truth, but she had to admit it, that she wasn't doing that before. She was just emoting. And this is one of the dangers of having lots of emotional men and women ruling over you. The Bible tells us in Isaiah 3:12 that that's a dangerous thing. And so we need men who are willing to do the hard work of saying, well, this policy will have this outcome. Maybe we shouldn't enact it. These are the deleterious things that could happen if we do this. And then not just say that, but then act on it and stand firm. And that's one of the reasons why Trump, when the America First movement that was growing underneath Obama's administration, identified Trump as someone who could speak for them. And that's one of the reasons why he won that first time. And that's why when he says MAGA, America First is whatever I say it is, like, no, he doesn't understand, because they identified him as a possible leader, but the movement is going to outlast him. The movement started before he was ever a political figure. Various iterations of it were happening well before he became a presidential candidate. Right. And it's right. It's like talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. And we've had, like R.L. Dabney said it in that quote from yesterday, essentially conservatism, he was talking about northern conservatism, but conservatism without actual boots on the ground, bravery to stand firm and say, no, the gates of hell that is liberalism will not prevail against what we're trying to conserve. And if you're not trying to conserve what Christ has called us to in America, right? We talked about this the other day, and I know, right, I posted this and I read some quotes from it yesterday, but America's Christian History, The Untold Story by Gary DeMar. It's a really great book. You should read it. Another one, The Patriots' History of the United States. You have my oldest son read this, and my younger two sons are going to read it soon as well. But we're in world history right now. So I think that they're studying the Greeks and the Romans at the moment. So, but this is one of the reasons why, while we're very excited about the things that Trump is doing to bring back American prosperity, American strength, American dignity on the world stage, essentially, we want people to fear our nation, because that's a good thing. We don't want to lose the battle to the deep state. Don't hide. Don't cover up for the deep state with this Epstein file situation, right? Yeah. Yeah. See, they're like, what is this? They're not letting me in, right? Right? Or is that right? That's what they say, right?
They're going to put you all back in chains.
Right. And letting me in. Who's not letting me in? I don't know. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Yeah. Now we want. I respect fear. No, fear is the currency, because nope. Yep. Yep. Yes. Yes. Look at this person. They want me to die. Right-wing propaganda, right? Also known as this. Right-wing propaganda, also known as this. Oh, goodness. From the person who called me an Uncle Tom about a book that she hasn't even read. No, that's fine. Let her stay. She makes it fun, right? She makes it fun. I mean, her ignorance is actually, it really helps out the channel, because it gives people something to talk about. But you see here, this is the point that I'm making, right? The liberal lunacy. Now she's coming out of it and admitting what she was like. She was the type of person that had a visceral reaction to something. Her emotions were stirred. Policy needs to come behind it and make sure that never happens again. That's her mindset. Okay? Let me see what this is. Let me see. Hold on one second. I'm going to do this. Where is this? I'm going to change this real quick. Change the title of the live real quick and see what that does. All right? Yeah. Now, we're actually coming to the... We've talked about the Epstein cover-up. I know that people like to come in. This is their first time, so I give them a little grace. They're ignorant of what we talk about here. For the most part, I've done at least. Let's see. Let's do this. Hold on one second. When they come here and they discuss and they talk about, let's see, where is it? All right, here we go. Here we go. All right. Let's do this. Don't forget to like the video. Yes. Look at this. So look at the thumbnails. All right. Let's count them together. All right. The Epstein, where we talking about bringing those Epstein files back. So that's 1, 2, 3. This one is the real reason we want the Epstein files, right? That's 3. That's 4. That's 5. Even on the Q&A we did that, but I want that. That's 6, 7. Well, that's in deportation. Okay, we didn't do it, so that's still 6, 7, 8. Well, that's we brought this. We'll just say 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 videos that I've done on the specific topic of the release of the Epstein files. And that's just over the past. Where is this? What was the first one? Hold on one second. Right here is why is the Trump? Yeah, okay. That's just since July 8th. Oh, now here comes the violent threats that they would let me see him on the street. Oh goodness. Ad baculum, huh? That's what we are. And he would never say any of this stuff on the street. Oh goodness. When you have nothing, when you have no intellectual arguments, you have to resort to physical violence. There it is. Right? Oh, yeah, I'm gonna prove you wrong by beating you up. No, I'll just be right. I'll still be right. I'll still be right. It's not gonna change. I don't understand what. It doesn't matter to me, right? I mean, they just come, right? I know that's a crazy thing, right? That just lets me know where they are mentally. It is what it is. I mean, if that's all you've got, okay. If that's all you've got is to make threats, well, you couldn't have a conversation with someone who disagrees with you without resorting to violence, then your positions are the problem. I have conversations with people who disagree with me quite often. And we never resort to blows. We can agree to disagree. That's what adults do, right? Overly emotional people who aren't in control of their feelings, have to resort to threats and violence. It's not a flex to say, well, your idea, I don't like your idea, I'm going to beat you up. That's going to make your idea wrong. No. My idea will still be right. You're just going to prove that you can't control your emotions. That's all it's going to prove. And my ideas will still be right. Do you know how many times I've been threatened with violence in my life? I'm not sitting here quaking in my boots. And I'm talking about in person. Right? Learn how to control your emotions and argue well. Right? There's a couple of books. This is one. All right. Here you go. You should read this one. Thank You for Arguing by Jay Heinrichs. Right? Lay level book on rhetoric. Be very helpful for you. All right. And you could actually, argue without having to resort to violence. Oh boy. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And then people are saying that happens on both sides. Yes, it does. There are immature people on both sides. I don't discount that at all. Yes. I don't discount that at all. I appreciate you all. Thank you for liking the video. Yes. All right. Let's see. I'm going to do this. Where's the... There is a... I'm still singing the songs from church today. I'm checking to see if I can make this title more appealing. Okay. Yeah. There we go. That might do it. All right. That's a better title. Okay. Oh, wait. Let me do that. Let me spell his name right. Okay. So, now, we also talked about, these are the other topics that we can discuss. Where is it? Okay. This is the question priority. Whoops. Let me see. Oh, question priority. Let's see. Topics. Okay. Still. Yeah. So this is another one. So we talked about this yesterday. I appreciate that a lot of the same questions are coming up. This is a very good one, right? We mentioned this yesterday, some of you, right? So this is what people think that we're worshiping, right? That if we supported Trump, we worship him, okay? Now, they're incorrect. For us that are Christians, this is what we actually worship. It's just a 2-letter difference, right? Because, right? Definite article is used in John 14:6. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but through me. The word of God is truth. Now, a lot of people don't understand how we could support Trump, right? As Christians. That's the big thing. That was the big thing. What is it? Oh, goodness. Let's go back. When my channel when I started to discuss politics last year, I went from like 2,700 subscribers to 6,700. And then when I started to discuss politics again, starting late last month, we went from 6,700 to the number you see now. Yes. So, absolutely. I don't believe that. I don't believe that he follows the Bible. Yeah, I don't. So, I don't know. I don't think I've ever made that claim about Trump's Christianity, about him following the Bible. I don't think I've ever made the claim that he does those things. Yeah. So this was April 7th of last year. I'm trying to find where I talked about this. So I just don't understand why you all think that Trump has to be a Bible believing Christian for Christians to vote for him. Why do you think that that's the case? Yeah, this is where it was, right? We were talking about that. Yes, this is where it started happening last year around this time. Yeah, well, we started talking about, and those old lives are available for members. Memberships are only $1. It helps to support the channel. You can join. Okay. It is not necessary. Right. So this is a great question. Now, so why would you support someone that does not support your beliefs? That's where you're wrong. Okay. No. I believe that it is right for a nation to have borders. That's one point, right? God establishes Israel's borders in Exodus. Borders for nations are not a bad thing. In order to have a nation, you must have borders. Trump wants strong borders. God talks about doing the right thing and prosperity coming from doing the right thing, right? Meaning not violating the fundamental tenets of what God says is right and just, like marriage and fetus deletion and all of these other things, right? Trump is much better on those things than the previous administration. The economy, that self-owned that the Democrats engaged in, where is it? Where is it? Oh, man. Where they, where is it? The picture that they posted where grocery prices skyrocketed from 2021 to 2024. And then they kind of went up a little bit in the past 6 months. That's self-owned. We don't. Yeah, the Biden and Obama. Yes. We don't want to live in a country where people can't afford homes, groceries, that they have to make 6 figures in order to live the average life that someone who made $30,000, $40,000 maybe 60, 70, 80 years ago was able to afford. We can't even afford it making well into the 6 figures. We're stretched thin because of rising prices, because of government corruption, because of, our continued support of all types of nonsense going on in the world. We say we don't want that. Trump says, I'll get you that. He lays out a plan to get us back to that point. Now, where Trump may not say, Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father, God has used a multitude of men who did not profess him in order to bring about his purposes. Nebuchadnezzar, he didn't at first, until he had his mind taken away for 7 years, and then he came back and said it. He uses Cyrus, he's used Titus, Emperor Titus, to do his bidding, to do his will. If God wants to use a fallen, flawed man like Donald Trump to help America maintain a certain standard of living, I'm fine with that. I don't need him to be a Christian. I don't know who in government is actually following Jesus. Our government is corrupt. Even someone like Ted Cruz, who talks about being a Zionist, and he's compromised. You don't get to that level of power without being compromised. Now, it's up to us. Yeah, well, look, I ain't right. I'm not control the leader. I'm not saying that it doesn't. I know that we're not being run as an America First country. I know that our principles and ideas don't stem from the mindset that I want to do what's best for the people in this country. That's not what our politicians are doing. And so some people thought that, and we believe that Trump had enough of that to warrant our vote. Yeah. Yeah. So how often would you like me to talk about it? Please let me know how often on my show you'd like for me to talk about it. I'll let you decide how to run my show, I guess. I don't know. I mean, we'll go back again to the list. Well, we've been talking about the Zionist connections in AIPAC. I mean, I don't know. I guess. I don't know. Maybe you come at the wrong time. I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess I'll just, whatever you tell me what you want me to talk about right now. I'll do it right now. I'm just going to stop doing whatever tell me. Here we go. You want to run the show? Here we go. Tell me what else. You just put the stuff in the chat, and I'll just put it on the screen. I'm going to let you have 5 minutes. This is your show right now. Go ahead. 10 seconds. I'll just put it up there. Go ahead. Because this is a Q&A show, and I'm answering people's questions. So this is his time, guys. So he's gonna run the show for the next 5 minutes. And when he comes here, I'm not talking about AIPAC or Zionism enough. Even though I started the show yesterday with it, and we almost talked about it, I think, for 40 to 45 minutes. I'm just asking. Because the whining and complaining about me not talking about everything that you want me to talk about whenever you walk into the room. Do you realize how crazy that is for someone? If you walk into a room and someone is talking about a topic that you deem unimportant, you stop them to tell them they need to talk about that thing and that they're not talking about that enough. That's insanity. I would never do that to anybody That's insane to me. To walk into a conversation midstream and say, stop talking about this. You need to talk about this thing that I deem is the most important thing and topic that we need. Even though they were talking about it 30 minutes ago and you missed it. I don't know. So, yeah, so we keep talking about, right. And look, he is. Trump is Bruno says it. Yes, he is. There he is. He's saying it right there. Trump is your president. That's what he is. He's all of it. Just like Biden was my president, right? So again, you can't please everybody. I understand that, right? I understand that. Okay. Because I'm not going to talk about everything the way everybody wants me to talk about. I have to run my channel the way I want to run it. And I'll talk about things. I'm going to talk about a lot of stuff. Now, so people were asking about the fact that we voted for Trump, right? Trump winning. And how can we support someone who is all of these, I guess, negative things, or he's not a Christian, right? And I never once claimed that Trump was a Christian. I criticized him for the Bible. Not that he was selling them, but that, he was promoting someone who was selling Bibles. Right. The 2 Corinthians thing, all of that stuff. Right. I don't think he's really following Jesus. And this is essentially what it is right here. West says it. We voted for policy. We looked at Agenda 47 and said, will these things help our country to prosper when the previous administration, Biden, and prior to that, Obama, seemed to want to do everything to undermine American sovereignty and undermine American prosperity? We were tired of that. That's what the America First movement grew out of. The constant refrain that America needed to change fundamentally. Well, if you want a different country fundamentally, there are a multitude of countries that can fit the bill. Why do you want to change the one where you are that is working the way it's been working this way for generations? We can, yes, improve it, but the improvement doesn't mean a fundamental change and shift from what has made it successful. That's what America First is about. There's something different about America than every other nation on the planet currently, which is one of the reasons why so many people are trying to come here, which is one of the reasons why so many countries depend on our prosperity. But we need to change it fundamentally. Do you realize that if America is destabilized, the ripple effects that it will have across the globe? Essentially, you're setting up China to become number one. Yeah. America, the nation that ended slavery in the West. Slavery is still practiced in the Middle East and in Africa. Right? And if you're talking about trafficking, and that's one of the reasons why we tried to shut off the border, it's still happening here as well, but it's not legalized. So unfortunately, we don't have to keep bowing the knee to this. Oh, you voted for Trump, you must be an immoral person. Oh, you can't be a Christian and vote. We don't care what you think about us. I'm not going to take Christian ethics from non-Christians. Like, I'm not taking lessons in Christian ethics from non-Christians. That's something I've never done, and I'll never do that. I'll read the historical writings from Christians about government, about policy, about the how to properly expose the scriptures or pull from the scriptures sound government practices. But no, guys, are you serious? We just started talking about this. Are you daft? Someone just asked the question and I said, no, maybe you just got in here. I'll give you grace. No. So I'll read the Augustines, the Aquinas, the Dabneys, the name them, right? And that's all from different streams, because I want to understand how Christians throughout history have understood politics in their respective countries and traditions and cultures, find the common thread, see how it affects us today, and then vote accordingly. Go to the scriptures, see how they went to the scriptures and came up with their theology of government. That's what we do. So when liberals get on here and tell us that Christianity is socialism, we're like, well, nobody believed that up until you fools did, that Jesus was a socialist. We're like, okay, whatever, if you say so, right? If you really believe that,
You're so
right?
dumb. You are really dumb, for real.
Just like people who say that Jesus was a Republican.
You are
Same
so
thing.
dumb. You are really dumb, for real.
Jesus is King of Kings and Lord of Lords. He doesn't fit into any political party. Now, there are political parties that can reflect his mandate better than others. See, fetus deletion up to 9 months is antithetical to the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. On the face of it, they don't understand life, so they can be rejected. On the face of it, they don't understand or respect or honor marriage. Okay, they can be rejected. On the face of it, they don't understand national sovereignty. Okay, they can just, yeah, exactly. God-seeking atheist. Exactly. Socialism has nothing to do with Christianity. We got an atheist in here that can recognize that fact. So that's why the left, we can just, what the left does is it preys on ignorant Christians who, like Anna Kasparian, are all about the heart, right? Well, this sounds good and it makes my heart feels and my neighbor as myself. And how do you love your neighbor as yourself politically? But they don't ask that question. They don't ask that question. How politically do you love your neighbor as yourself? Interpersonally, yes. My church, we are giving to multiple missions. We are restocking the food bank. It's a constant thing where we're always doing that. So interpersonally, we are doing what Jesus commands. Now, politically, how are we supposed to do that? Well, by voting for policies that align with the law of God. That's how we do that. That's how you love your neighbor as yourself. So when someone tries to tell us you're not being Christian if you don't vote for Democrats, or you're not being Christian if you don't vote for Trump, we can ignore that nonsense, because if you're well-read, well-studied, understand Christian theology throughout the centuries, you're like, well, that's an asinine statement coming from someone who obviously hasn't read the Bible or read much Christian thought throughout the centuries. You've just been indoctrinated into this liberal cult that has, since the advent of compulsory education in the early 20th century, indoctrinated you to believe that Christianity is socialism, right? Christianity is akin to Marxism. You can have all of these competing ideologies when Marxism is antithetical to Christianity. It wants to replace the divine, right? And so you get people like Anna who only emote, but she's starting to see that the left is full of it, right? Let's let her continue talking.
Instead of the police. That actually has ended up being pretty disastrous in California, in Los Angeles in particular, because I've seen it firsthand.
And
She's talking about defund the police. It has been disastrous in California.
you're from there.
I'm from there. My best friend since childhood, she's a social worker herself. And I've talked to other social workers about what their experience has been like. And they're like, I actually interviewed one for a piece I wrote for Real Clear Investigations. And she told me, look, it hasn't really worked out the way people have thought it would work out. Oftentimes we'll go to a call and it's supposed to be a nonviolent person, or a nonviolent call. Someone's having a mental health episode. But they'll show up, and oftentimes it'll be someone who does have a weapon. It's not a gun, but it's maybe a knife, and they feel threatened, so they have no choice but to call the police. And so in 2021, the Los Angeles City Council, was inspired by BLM, and they decided to take $150 million away from the LAPD's budget and instead invest it in other services. It actually ended up being even more, we're spending more on police, more on the LAPD than we ever have, like a record.
You see that? So they say we're going to defund the police and give that money to social services. But then social services shows up and they realize the person is actually violent and they need LAPD. And so they shrink the numbers of the LAPD from what they said about 10 to 11,000. Now it's down to 8,500. And they're spending more money now because those 8,500 are overworked and they're getting overtime. One guy, she said, made over $600,000 last year as a policeman. Now you're spending more money because of a stupid policy. And LA, instead of backtracking, they're going to double down. This is stupidity to the highest level, because she felt a visceral reaction in her heart to George Floyd. Defund the police. No questions asked. Now you're spending way more money in LA because they believed it. They want to be the guinea pig. This is what being ruled by your heart gets you. And she's admitting it. I was one of those people. And you still have people like this that, it's heart. Love your neighbor as yourself. Don't send a police officer over there because they might be having a mental health episode. Send a social worker, an unarmed social worker. And when that person gets violent and the unarmed social worker has nothing to defend themselves, you're not going to hear any news stories about that, though. But you would hear a news story about it if a cop went there and had to defend themselves from the right. It's Saint George Floyd, right? I know he has been canonized on the left. He has been. Yes, he has been canonized on the left. And it is very sad. Right. If that's what, think about this. If that is what is the pinnacle sainthood for black men. Whoo-wee. Man. Wow. Yes. Yeah. He said, I'm working on my doctorate degree to become a therapist now. I will be armed even in my office. He said, I'm going to work strapped. Yes. Right. I had one other thing. Where is it? What did Anna was talking about something that was actually at minute 20:37. But this is why we need to push back on this nonsense of voting based on the heart. Right.
Getting accurate information to make the right decisions for themselves once they're casting a ballot.
Right.
And so I felt angry because I felt misled by the media.
Yep.
And now, it was partly my fault too, because I was in a bubble and I was only getting one side of every story. And even if I agree with that side, I should at least hear what the opposing argument is. And I wasn't going out of my way to do that before. Now I do. And so I see things as far more complex and nuanced. And it's hard to make an argument that's going to appease any audience at this point, because I think a lot of Americans have been conditioned to be partisan and prioritize partisanship before truth. And I think truth is what will set us free, genuinely. Truth will help us ensure that we have a better government. And I'm sorry, one side or the other does not have a monopoly on the truth. They just don't. And And one side might get something right one time. The other side might have a good point when it comes to a different issue. And I think we just need to be open-minded. And more importantly, we need to have conversations with people. Because if you just rely on what the media is saying about a particular political figure or a particular media figure, why are you letting them tell you what to think about individuals? Why don't you actually do a little bit of digging or have these conversations yourself and try to figure out who these people really are? You know, like the speech you gave at Turning Point, you said a few things in there that I might not agree with, but like the overall message was so courageous, and I never thought in a million years I would hear it at a conservative conference. Never.
It's just interesting. Well, I mean, you know, the truth is wherever it is, and you try to recognize it. But I hope I'm going to give you my text, and I want you to text me, if you will, criticism of what you're saying now.
Okay. Because
I want to keep a list of people who are offended.
So but you hear what she said, right? People, right. I don't know, Laundromat. I appreciate you being here, brother. Yeah, it's looking like that because right now I only have 218 people in here. Normally we have like upwards. We peak out at sometimes on Sundays around 1,000 to 2,000. But you know, and then it fluctuates. But yeah, it is what it is. I mean, we got to ride with what we got to ride with. You know, that's why it's so important for you all to like the video when you come in, and also join the channel if you can, right? Yes, that'll help, right? Like the video, comment, but I appreciate you all. Yes, and then again, this is why they don't understand why they lost so badly, because I'm willing to talk to people who have differing ideas from me without threatening. You know, people were in here threatening if they saw me on the street, it would be a different energy. Well, first, I don't just go up to people on the street and argue politics. That's something I don't do. I have those discussions with people that I know personally. So I just don't walk around looking for political arguments. It's not what I do. But if we're going to disagree, we're going to disagree. We can disagree disagreeably, okay? But I'm not fighting anybody over politics. But people who can't reason and get frustrated, they might resort to violence on both sides. Because I don't believe myself to be all knowing. So there may be some things that I do not know. But if given information and facts, this is the thing that I know for certain, that I'm capable of this. An unanswerable, recognizing right? An unanswerable argument. An unanswerable argument has these three criteria: clear terms, true premises, and valid logic. So no matter what situation I get myself into, if I can talk to a person and we can come to terms, clearly defined terms, and we can figure out the truth of the situation, and then our reasoning is sound, I can either refute your argument or I can agree with it. And that's what I'm trying to do. Now, some people here just are like Anna. They live in a silo. They only care about what their team says, right? And they're not going to be swayed by anything that we could say that would possibly refute their case. So it doesn't matter. Because they're not interested in this. They're only interested in posturing. They're only interested in grandstanding, virtue signaling, whatever it is, gaslighting, whatever. And now that's one of the things that got us really frustrated with Trump, is that he started to take on the characteristics of the left with this Epstein cover-up. We're like, we're not falling for that. We didn't fall for it when the left did it to us for the 8 years of Obama and Obama's third term under Joe Biden. We didn't fall for it then. We're not going to fall for it because you do it. That's the issue. That's one of the reasons why we're pushing back on the Epstein situation, and we're starting to recognize the thread of everything leading back to Israel. And we're not interested in being an Israel colony. It's not our desire. I don't know if any of you want to let's see, be an Israel colony, but yeah. Now, so Jeff Younger, this is another post. Yeah, no, right? So they're trying now to gaslight us into, let's go back to that. They're trying to gaslight us into believing that, you know, what we see is not really happening. Okay. Right. And again, there's still some things that I'm looking at Trump and thinking, okay, good job here, and here. But this Epstein cover up, it needs to stop. Okay. Now, so there's no smoking gun linking Jeffrey Epstein directly to Israeli intelligence. They're not releasing all the evidence, right? But the circumstantial evidence is overwhelming, disturbing, and too consistent to ignore. Right? So they're now trying, oh, that he may have been working with Russian or Chinese intelligence. All right. But nah. Start with Ghislaine Maxwell. Right? Father Robert, buried on the Mount of Olives with full honors. 6 current and former heads of Israeli intelligence attended. Okay. British and Israeli sources both allege he worked for Mossad. Ghislaine, Epstein's closest partner for decades. Ehud Barak. There's just too much where there's smoke, there's fire. Well, he goes on. I'm going to post this in the comments so you all can see it if you want to go and check it out yourself. But this is why we're pressing this Epstein issue. Right? This is why we're pressing this issue. Because we don't want to be ruled by the nation state of Israel. We don't want their concerns to be our concerns. I mean, that really is what it all boils down to. Where's my water? There it is. That's what it boils down to. And that's why I asked yesterday on the live for people to, make me a Zionist again. I used to be one. Right? What scriptures can you bring up for the Christians who want me to be a Zionist and like Ted Cruz say that we're commanded by the Bible to support Israel? Right? We want to understand why we have to turn a blind eye to this PDF file ring, this cover up. Why? Why can't we notice these things? Why can't we notice this connection? Why? That's all we want to know. Why can't I notice this connection and call it out and say that this is a problem? That he being linked to a government that seems to have a history of supporting PDF files. Why can't we notice this? Why can't we beat the drum? Like I said, 17 episodes that I've discussed this at length. Most of them for at least 30 to 45 minutes. Bringing receipts, videos, stories, etc. Almost every episode I'm talking about this, right? This is why Dan Bongino says, but what I've learned in the course of our properly predicated and necessary investigations into these aforementioned matters has shocked me down to my core. We cannot run a republic like this. I'll never be the same after learning what I've learned. This is Deputy Director of the FBI, Dan Bongino. So we have to just turn like, no, we don't nothing to see here, right? Nothing to see here. Because you can't serve two masters, especially if you are a Christian. You cannot serve two masters. Primacy will be given to one. If you think that Israel is God's chosen and that they're the apple of his eye, then you can't have two chosens, right? Because either Jesus is the pinnacle and locus of the scripture, or Israel is. Because you believe that God is working out things for Israel's good, a people and a nation that actually openly despises God's son. How do you square that circle? How do you do the calculus there in your mind that this nation that openly mocks Christianity, where the Orthodox people are allowed to spit on and persecute Christians, they say Jesus is rotting in hell, and the Bible clearly says no one says in the spirit that Jesus is accursed. How do you square the circle of exalting them above Jesus? And see, this is now, I don't know if he's saying that I'm saying that, but this is where it's important. Clear terms, right? I said the nation state of Israel, but now he's turned it to Jews, right? In order to make the claim of anti-Semitism. Is that what it is? This is where you go, because I never said all Jews are bad. He's inserting that into my argument. That premise is not in my argument. My premise is the nation state of Israel. I'm making the term clear that we don't want to be ruled by that we don't believe as Christians. We're not commanded to support the nation state of Israel. Right? We're not commanded to. Welcome, Dehydrated Nurse. I wanted to show your comment on my recent video. Do you mind? Because I wanted to. You had a very good question. I responded to it. Welcome back. I wanted to explain to you how your comment was a straw man of my argument. Would you mind if I use your comment on this live? I wanted to ask you. I wasn't going to do it without your consent. So true premises. Okay, good. Thank you. I have your consent. Thank you. Okay, I'll use it later in the show when we're talking about that topic. Okay. So true premises, valid logic, right? So the nation state of Israel, we're not commanded as Christians to support it. And if what happens, so this is the thing, if what happens in the course of Dan Bongino's investigation, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, whoever, if it comes to light, Israel's influence over our politics and all the negative things that people have been noticing, if they're all discovered to be true, will Zionists, Christian Zionists, rethink their position, go to the scriptures and say, you know what, maybe supporting a nation state that is openly hostile to the King of Kings and Lord of Lords that I claim to worship, that if they are in fact the nation of Israel, they're the same, they're descendants of the people that Jesus Christ said killed the prophets that were sent to them and ultimately killed the son. that nation. Now Jesus was talking about that generation. It was all going to come down on that generation. I'm a preterist, so I believe that all of the scriptures were fulfilled in 70 AD. Like we have we're living in the Christian age, the age that does not end. But if you're a futurist, you believe that this nation has to exist, that they have to continue thumbing their nose up at the Savior for how long? How long do they get? How long will they get to deny Jesus, to teach that he is burning in hell, to I have videos in my queue of them calling him a fatherless child mockingly. How long? Right? How long? Right? I know Maggie B, every generation says that. It's been happening since what? Hitler was supposed to be the Antichrist, Stalin, every generation. I know you guys say that every year, but every so often. I know. That's the dispensational paradigm, right? It's fear, right? Eschatology of fear. All right. Every generation says that. Even the reformers in 1600 thought that the Pope was the Antichrist, that man of sin. It's every generation has their Antichrist, even though, Paul said the man of lawlessness, which they equate to the Antichrist, but the Antichrist is only mentioned in 1 John, but they equate the two things, the man of lawlessness, but it is what it is. Man of lawlessness was being restrained then, and you know what restraining him now, that's what Paul says. I mean, it's just the Antichrist spirit, and the Antichrist was in the first century, but unless you want to read future, you have to read futurist presuppositions into the text to get to that point. But that's why preterism just makes more sense of the text, and it harmonizes the text in my mind so much easier, and so much more consistently. The analogy of faith, right? Yeah. No, it's not. I'm not a futurist. So yeah, I believe Revelation is about the destruction of the temple in 70 AD. That's John's. So everybody talks about this. Matthew, Mark, and Luke discuss the Olivet. They have the Olivet discourse. Matthew 24, Luke, I believe 13. Is it 13? He talks about the destruction of the temple. And that's the only thing Jesus is talking about. The end of the old covenant age happening. And then John, who doesn't discuss it in his gospel, saves it for Revelation. So Revelation is John's discourse on the destruction of the temple and the bringing in of the Christian age, the age that will not end, right? And we're in that age right now. So Revelation is not manifesting today. Every generation of dispensationalists says that, and it's always up in arms, alarm, don't be raptured. It's like, okay, yeah, you guys can keep saying that, but your generation isn't the first to say it, and it won't be the last. Yeah, it won't be the last. Yeah. I wasn't saying that you said it. I'm saying the reformers from the 17th century, they made that claim, the 16th and the 17th century. And they codified it in their confessions that the Pope is the Antichrist, right? That's what they were saying. Now, Zionists, I know it's hard to follow. Maybe for people who don't understand, it may be hard to follow what we're talking about. You can ask questions, though. But the idea is we are commanded, apparently, by the scriptures as Christians to support this. Yeah. Okay? To support this nation regardless of what they do. They can bomb churches, Christian churches. It was a mistake. We didn't mean to, with our laser guided bombs and a tank. We're precision bombers, but we have all of this amazing technology that can, bomb a fly off of a Hamas helmet. But we couldn't miss that church. Yeah. At some point, you got to start asking questions, though. Right? Let me find your dehydrated nurse. I want to find your comment and I want to address it. because I think it will be really helpful for, what is this? 29 minutes ago. Hey, there you go. Let's see. Somebody posted. Okay, here it is. Okay. Bring this over here and we'll talk about this, because I think this would be under, well, let's just see this. Let's make a new title based on, yeah. Let's see. Yes, I did vote for Trump. If you all want to know, yes, I did. Yes, he's your president. Yes, he's your president. I know. Don't get mad though. Well, you could get mad. It still won't change anything. All right. Let's see. Okay. So it's a question and answer stream where there are multiple topics that we're discussing. So here's some of the possible topics that we've discussed on the channel before. We could possibly discuss any of these, or you can ask questions. Go ahead and ask questions. And the order of questions, now I haven't had any, but this is the question priority. If somebody gives a super chat, then I'll discuss it immediately, right? May have an answer, may not, but I'll still discuss it. Members, moderators, members go first, right? Because they're supporting the channel monthly. I'll answer their questions next. Moderators, because they're helping the channel by keeping the chat decent. And long-term supporters, if I know you've been around for a while and you're always here, I will answer your questions. Subscribers, people that I know are, subscribe to the channel. And then trolls, you'll get the last. You're in the last. Yes, no problem. Just wanted to make sure that, that you understood. Okay. All right. So this is and I'm going to read Dehydrated Nurse's comment and I'll talk about where this came from. It was based on an episode where I mentioned, where is it? Oh, wait, hold on. Let me change the text. All right. America's prosperity and obesity. Right? That you think that is that a good summation, Dehydrated Nurse, of what the topic was at that point in time? So, yeah. Nah, like everybody. Yes. Hey, a subscribed. Well, you get priority, right? You're a subscribed troll. There you go. I appreciate it. If you subscribe, I'll let you know. I can't figure out when I'm on Ecamm, how do I know who's subscribed or not? But yeah, but if you tell me you're subscribed, but I recognize your Dupster TV. I recognize that. You have a very interesting name and avatar. All right. So Dehydrated Nurse, we were talking about American prosperity and the opulence of us having overweight poor people. Okay. So we're so rich. The country is so rich and so prosperous that we have an epidemic of people who claim to be poor but are obese. All right. And so I think that's where this comment came from. So this is what you said afterward. Okay. Now you said, have you ever seen young starving Ethiopian kids with large abdomens? Are they fat? Poor people in America can only afford junk food. It's cheap. They cannot afford healthy organic food. That is why they are fat. They are not opulent. They can afford a McDonald's hamburger off the dollar meal, not healthier food from their local 3-star restaurant that sells seaweed salad. They can afford $1 mac and cheese, not a salad. I know it goes against your narrative, but it's fact. Now, and then I respond, thanks for the comment. It's a straw man of my position, but I appreciate your continued views and engagement. Now, the reason why I say that this is a straw man argument, I'm going to explain to you why, because you made many false statements and the things that you said don't really follow my argument, or they don't refute it anyway. All right. So have you ever seen the young starving kids with large abdomens? Are they fat? No, they're not fat, obviously. And you know that that's not what I was talking about. That is a medical condition because their abdomens are large, but their bodies are emaciated. So the emaciated body with a large abdomen is not fat. So I forget what the medical condition is called, but you can see that their bodies, their skin is hanging. I mean, if they have very small arms, very small legs, they're not obese by no metric. BMI, weight for average age, weight for average height, would they ever be classified as overweight or obese? You know that's the case. That's why this is objectively false. Okay? So that's not what I was discussing. Okay? All right? All right? So, now, poor people in America can only afford junk food. That's also false. Let me show you. Okay. All right, here we go. Give you a little video. All right, where is it?
We got chicken wings, peaches, Welch juices. Got 2 cases of these. A box of Sam grain chips. Say that bit over. I got these chips. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Ballpark hot dogs. Some teriyaki noodles. Some kind of a pepper ground beef. Packets on the sticks. Seasoning salt. Pickles. Powdered donuts. Fruit pebbles. The teriyaki noodles, I eat those. These are the best. These are the best. Pineapples.
So that's only half. That video is like a little bit over halfway over, right? They went to the same. They went to Sam's. I go to Sam's. They went to Walmart. I go to Walmart. But I don't get $1,500 in EBT. And she has $12,000 in food stamps. Does McDonald's accept EBT and food stamps now? Maybe they do. But that's what I'm saying. Right here. Thank you. Right here. There are fruits and vegetables at the same store. Because she went Sam Brand's chips. Sam's has it. Right? Because this is something we talked about. These people are making choices when they go to the store. When they shop for groceries, they're making choices. They understand they are buying what they want. Right? Exactly. Exactly. Some do accept them, some don't. Right? So I don't. Because here's the crazy thing, y'all. I don't go to McDonald's. My family doesn't eat fast food. That's what she said. She said, look, she mentioned that they can only afford the $1, right? That's why I'm bringing in her comment, because I knew it would jump off to a bigger discussion. I know some people were complaining that I'm responding to this, but no, there's always a method to the madness, because this is something we talked about. Where did you see any fruits, vegetables, healthy options? They made the choice. That was $1,500 of EBT, $12,000 of food stamps. That's a lot of money. You can buy healthy organic options at Walmart, at Sam's. They sell them there. So, but look, they are not opulent. I never said that they were. I said that the country as a whole is, that people like that can live like they live. She $1,500, $12,000 in food stamps, she was able to go to the store and pick out virtually whatever they want. Now, Camille, what's the lie? Where's the lie? Where's the lie? She got 1,500. Maybe she had, right? And she had 12,000 on her account that she hadn't looked. She hadn't used. I don't know. You got to go talk to her. She's the one displaying this. The max amount of benefits, okay. That's a 1,500 EBT haul. She can. Let's look it up then. All right, we'll do it. We'll do it. You want any other parameters? Let me know. We'll do a quick lookup using ChatGPT. Tell me what parameters you want me to check. All right. So the max for which one? EBT, SNAP. You tell me, and we'll look it up. Okay. And does a food stamp card? Is it the month? Right. Oh, there's no way that she legally gets that much. Now you put it. Okay, that's another caveat, right? Are we saying that no one games the system? So EBT, SNAP, which one? You have to tell me which one you want me to look up. Food stamps, EBT, SNAP. I don't know, because I've never been on these. I've never been on these programs. Never once. Never plan on being on them. So you let me know. You educate us. See, that's the thing. Now you want me to look up her county. I don't know where her county is. I don't know what county she's a part of. I'm using this as a jump off to a discussion that we were having about the fact that no matter what, even if the numbers that she's displaying aren't 100% accurate, the food that she's putting on the screen was purchased in some way, shape, or form by her, whether it be from her own pocket, which I doubt, because why would she say that? Why would she pretend that she's buying it out of her own pocket, or buying it with EBT and SNAP when it's coming from her own pocket? That would make absolutely no sense. But maybe it's to go viral. Who knows? People have nefarious purposes. I don't know. But the point is, what Dehydrated Nurse says is absolutely untrue, because she can afford organic food. The reason that she is fat has nothing to do with anything but her choices. Because the same place where she got those juices and all this other stuff, there were organic options there. I guarantee it. And if there weren't organic options, there were at least fruit and vegetables there. There were healthier options than these sugary drinks and donuts and pies and cakes and everything else that she got. There was a lot better choices that she could have made. And America provides them the opportunity to live this way because we're so opulent as a nation. Because if they were crying poor, if they were actually poor, they would be emaciated. If they were actually poor, living hand to mouth with no one to help them, she wouldn't be that big. This is not a poor person. Look at that house. Right? These kids are not emaciated. No, this is one example, but there are a multitude of examples. How many examples do y'all want me to show? Because I've shown them on multiple episodes in the past. I'm not going to go over every episode, every clip. We have an obesity epidemic and a poverty epidemic at the same time. Right? Because when we see these videos of the people who are on these services, they're rarely thin. Send me some examples. Dehydrated Nurse. Send me some examples. Go to my Instagram That's generally where people send me examples of the things that they want me to cover. Send me the examples. I'll bring them up on the next show. Send me the examples. Yeah, send me the examples. Here's the crazy thing. You can, guys, you can. The government can. If the government is the one giving you the money, they can decide what you eat. Do y'all not understand that? If you're on government assistance, then the government can decide what you eat. If they decide tomorrow to say that you can only buy X, Y, and Z with EBT and food stamps and SNAP or whatever and WIC, they can do that. That's exactly the point. Right. When you say that, that's a false premise. Right here. That's why it's easily debunked. Because that's a false premise. So if we are the ones, taxpayers, that are paying for this, we can vote for people who will change the rules so that you don't get to eat that kind of stuff. When you put yourself if you put your health and well-being and livelihood into the hands of the government, then when the government decides you get no more, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? See? You can't see the dissonance. You can't deal with it, right? They can't deal with the fact that okay, let's see. Okay. Now, you can get WIC, right? Women, Infants, and Children is a federal assistance program in the United States that provides nutritious foods, nutritious education, breastfeeding support, and healthcare referrals to low-income pregnant women, new mothers, infants, and children under age of 5 who are at nutritional risk. WIC, by nature, controls what people can receive. What makes you think that if SNAP decides to limit, can you get alcohol? Let me see this. Watch this. Right? Whoops, sorry, not EBY, EBT. You are not allowed to use SNAP benefits to purchase any type of alcohol, including wine, beer, hard seltzer, liquor, or drinking or cooking for drinking or cooking purposes. Restriction on what you can buy with it. You guys don't even understand how foolish you sound. There's already a restriction on what you can buy with that stuff. Just stop. You sound really, goodness. Now, so they can afford, this is what dehydrated nurse, they can afford a hamburger off the dollar meal. Now, we saw them affording a whole bunch of other stuff. Not healthier food from the local three-star restaurant that sells seaweed and salad. That's a straw man, because that's not what we're saying. I'm saying that the same store that they shop at that serves all of these sugary foods and nonsense, they also stock fruits, vegetables, clean meats, protein, grass-fed beef, grass-fed chicken, eggs, whatever. They serve all of that stuff. They supply all of that. But you see, this is how the straw man works. It's easy to burn down that straw man that I think people go to their local 3-star restaurant that serves seaweed salad. Who says that they have to eat seaweed salad? Nobody. Right? To burn down that straw man. Right? Make your argument easier to defeat. No one actually said that. I'm saying that they can go to the same store that I go to and make healthier choices. That's it. Right? They can afford $1 mac and cheese, not salad. The exorbitant price of salad, apparently. Wow. The exorbitant, yeah. Salad is so. Let me see something. As compared to mac and cheese. Hold on a second. Mac and cheese. Now $1. Multi-pack, $4.88. Oh, Velveeta shells and cheese. 4-pack, $5.92. 58. There you go. Thick and creamy mac and cheese, a great value. And this, yeah. Yeah. Right, dollar mac and cheese, dollar menu. Like where do they still do a dollar menu? Right, it goes against your narrative, but it's fact. No, it actually isn't fact, and we've proved that. Like it really isn't fact. Nothing that you said is a fact. So, but yeah, unfortunately, we have to believe this now because the liberals say so. We have to believe it. Yeah. Well, the argument, Ulysses, is the fact that America has an obesity epidemic at the same time that it has a poverty epidemic, supposedly, and that poor people who live in this opulent country are overweight because, right, this is a Wendy's stir. But one of my I don't know if she's a subscriber, or the hydrated nurse, I asked if he or she would mind me interacting with their comment because it was a straw man of the argument. So, yeah. So, this is a Wendy's, sir. Right. This is Michael. Right. It's ready right now. He said, well, I have somebody come and pick it up. This is a Wendy's restaurant. Yes. Now, so unfortunately, this mindset, yes, American prosperity has allowed people to cry poor while being overly fed on. I mean, don't get me wrong. I believe that we need to make America healthy again. But this video is one of many of people who just make bad choices. Right?
Chris Saints. Some Gushers. Rice Krispie treat. Wilkes Street snacks. Go closer. A Texas Sprites. Lucky Charms. Kool-Aid pajamas. More chicken. Tea. I seen these going on Facebook. So yeah. I had to get them. And we got some drinks back here. Some Coke and what juices? And Captain John bread. Yeah. And that completes the Sam Club haul. So now we're gonna put this stuff up and we're gonna go to the
Sam
next
Clubs. Yeah. Huh? Right? Yeah, exactly. There needs to be, right? So you can, even if you have the I'm not a fan of the program, but you shouldn't be able to buy these type of food products on that service. Because guess what? Those foods cause all sorts of health problems, which then we have to pay for with what? What's up, LEQ? What's up? With free health care. So they get to eat off of our dime. Then we also have to pay for their health care. I don't understand why the connections can't be made by these leftists who want to continue to support this. Free health care for people who don't care about their own health. You could eliminate most comorbidities by just being a healthy weight. Right? And see, look, this is another one, right? This is another one. So I'm advocating starvation, right? You see how that's another logical fallacy, right? That's not the conclusion, right? Not a logical person wouldn't come to that conclusion. Someone who actually thinks clearly couldn't come to this conclusion. So I'm advocating starvation. Nobody's advocating starvation. Who says that? Right? Yeah, exactly. And I made the claim yesterday. Look, I made the claim yesterday that Walmart is in the business of making money. Walmart stocks what people buy. And I use this example. The Walmart where I live, we had a very small Hispanic food section, and we never carried caramel apple empanadas. Never. Up until 2025. The first time I saw a caramel apple empanada was 2025. Why did the Walmart where I live in a majority black city all of a sudden start carrying caramel apple empanadas, and the Hispanic food section grew recently? Because people want it. I saw my first caramel apple empanada in San Antonio earlier this year. I come back home a couple months later, caramel apple empanadas. Why? And the Hispanic food section grows. Why? Because people are buying that. And Walmart wants...
I just want some money.
They just want some money. I even recognized that there were certain organic things that I would buy. And when I stopped buying them, and it was like, it felt like only me and a couple of other people were buying them. We stopped buying them. Walmart stopped stocking them. Because Walmart...
I just want some money.
Just want some money. They'll stock what you buy. So if you actually... Right? If you actually buy the things that are requested from the Walmart, they'll stock it. I know it's amazing. A business wants to make money, y'all. I know it's crazy. It really is a nonsensical argument. Yeah. Nonsensical argument that they really want to make money. I don't know. Maybe you know what? Maybe Walmart is in the business of just killing people. Maybe that's what they want to do. Maybe they're selling things just to kill people. Or maybe they're putting on the stocks what the demographic buys. Thank you, Comic. Yeah. I don't understand it. It really isn't that. It's not that hard to put two and two together. Right? To put two and two together. Say, hey, Walmart will stock what we buy. This woman bought a whole bunch of junk food. Guess what? Walmart. Yeah. Walmart is going to sell what you buy. They just want money. They're really not trying to, like, the Waltons didn't become rich through DEI, through affirmative action, through whatever. They became rich by selling people what they wanted. Now, someone made a very important point, and I'm going to close up because Americans are addicted to sugar. You are absolutely right about that. The wars, I think it was in the 60s or 70s when there was a war between sugar and fats. Sugar's won, right? There was a big, fats are horrible for you. No, sugar is. And then they had this war, and sugar became the dominant ingredient in most American foods. And there's this research done on the bliss point and exactly how much sugar you can put into any food and keep people coming back, where it's just enough to keep them addicted, but not too much to make them repulsed by it. Sugar is number one. Yes, sugar won, and it's still winning. Absolutely. Right. It's one of the reasons why people were very excited to see Donald Trump working with RFK to get rid of some of these government controlled, high fructose corn syrup, government controlled was it Frankenfoods? Yep, exactly. Certain breads, virtually everything has it in there. And we try to avoid that in my house. It's hard. Don't get me wrong. It's hard. It's not an easy thing to do. Right? Yes. Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but yeah. It is right. You're right about that, Jalen. It's the number one legal drug. Why do they give, there's a channel that my wife watches. I think it's a lady on Skid Row, or she may be in Las Vegas now, but she helps addicts who are coming off of drugs, and she gives them sugar in order to help them fight the cravings. That should tell you something. Right. This was a really good, let's see. It was a really funny documentary that was made in 2014. It's called That Sugar Film. And very, very interesting movie. We watched it as a family. Interesting movie. But yes, man. Now, we're probably going to close it up here. I was trying to get to 12,000 today. We're like 30 off. But if what Laundromat said is true, I never went over 300 on this live, and virtually every live I've done for the past 2 weeks has easily gone into the 500 to 1,000. Some of them even peaked at 2,000. Yes, Supersize Me was another one. Yeah, there have been some people who've come back and tried to debunk that one. I think the filmmaker just died recently. Yeah, but yeah. So we practice, my wife and I, we practice intermittent fasting. We fast for about 16 to 20 hours. Yeah. And we, try to eat clean for the most part. Yeah. So, yeah. I'm going to start a beard counter up here. Like how many times people question my beard choice. And it's mostly men that question my beard choice. And I'm like, man, guys, like, I'm married. I'm not interested. Why y'all so worried about my face and my beard choice? I don't understand it. I really don't. I don't understand why. Is it really that offensive to you? How another man chooses to shave up his facial hair? That's what I'm saying. I really don't understand it. Like, why is that really, to me, I mean, growing up, I never really I don't pay attention to what other men do with their facial hair. Because I'm not gay. I don't walk around, man, that guy looks cute with that facial. Oh, he looks horrible. He needs to shave that up. Like, no, I don't care. I really don't. I always find it funny. I mean, that would be hilarious. Like every time, right? With the Abraham Lincoln, Amish, we do Uncle Tom counter, what was it? Uncle Ruckus counter, right? Yeah. I mean, it's a common theme, and I just think it's funny, but I find it weird, the obsession that now I can understand if women come in and they're like, oh man, I know what it is. That's why I'm addressing it now, Kiam, because I'm about to drop off. But it's really interesting, and that's why I just let it pass. Like when I'm doing my show, I let it pass, right? Oh, you look like Abraham Lincoln. All right, thanks. But yeah, I see it over there, but I got a show to do, right? But I wanted to address it at the end because I find it funny. It's really funny that, like, every time somebody discusses it in my head, I think this.
Why
right?
are you gay?
Like, why are you gay? Why are you worried about what I look like? I never go onto another podcast of another man's podcast, and I start obsessing over his appearance. That's what I'm saying. Right. I know. I find that to be extremely gay. It really, I don't know. But I know it's a function. Like people come in, they talk about the lining, about the hair, about everything. I'm like, man, guys, you guys are you really? You're like, wow. Oh, I'm Muslim, right? Because of the bow tie. I'm like, well, no. I was the head of a classical school, and I taught at another one. And this is the look of a classical man, right? Classical man, bow tie, reading classical literature, study of logic, study of Latin, right? Those types of things. That's what classical men are about. And then we wear the bow ties as a symbol of that. It has nothing to do with the Nation of Islam. It just, I like the look because I like classical things. We play classical music in my house. My children play piano, strings, violin, viola, cello, flute, things like that, right? That's what we enjoy, those types of things. We read classical literature. We study history. We're homeschoolers. This is what we do. Yeah, this is what we do. And so that's what the bow tie is about. It's in the logo. All right, you see that? The logo. If you pay attention to the logo is a microphone with a bow tie in it. Right? Yeah. So it's all about classical education. Yeah, classical music, classical education. That's why I wear the bow ties. Has nothing to do with the Nation of Islam or anything like that, or that I'm trying to appear smart. Yeah, but the logo is a microphone with a bow tie in it. Yeah. Right. I don't know. I try to help out when I can. But yeah. Right. Yeah. That's right. There you go. Way to go. That's how we raise 2 missionaries and a keeper at home. Right. There you go. Yeah. And the stand kind of looks like facial hair. Look, hey, you just pointed something out. Right? It does look like my facial hair. That little curve right there in the microphone. I didn't even recognize that. Look at that. Right? That's it. That's it. All right, guys. But yeah, I just wanted to, because I'm closing out. That was the last thing. You know what I could have done? Right? Well, I appreciate that, right? I appreciate that, behavior bender. I appreciate that. Yeah, I have a really good wife who, as my suitable helper. She, I couldn't do any of this without her. So there's that too. I have a really great wife. She is amazing. Amazing. And I'm about to go spend some time with her. Yes. So yeah, that's a great idea, right? That's the logo though. So 20 off of 12,000. I can't thank you all enough for making this happen within the calendar month of, so it's been 28 days. Essentially, we went from 6,700 to almost 12,000 in 28 days. Man, that's amazing. I appreciate you all. Yes. Thank you to everybody that liked, commented, and subscribed, kept the engagement going. We're going to try to figure out if tomorrow we might be able to do an episode. I'm taking the car to get some maintenance done, so we'll see. But keep your ear, because YouTube may be shadow banning us, right? Oh. We'll see. We shall see. But I only peaked at about 300 today, but I'm not complaining. As long as we can keep getting the message out. Now, I'm going to start back this week with specific prepared shows. Probably talking about the Epstein files. Y'all know I'm not going to let that go. Right? And we'll be doing a lot more in the way of prepared shows. So, but these 2 Q&As, I just wanted to get some questions. People were asking questions, and people were asking, why wasn't I addressing comments? I said generally because I'm trying to do a show and I have a rundown. But yeah, anyway, till next time. 1 Corinthians 16:13 says, be on the alert, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong. See y'all around. Bye.